They told her she wouldn't make it past 80. Her doctors looked at her charts, shook their heads, and prepared her family for the inevitable. That was 21 years ago. Today, Margaret Sullivan wakes up at 5:30 every morning, tends to her garden, and does something her doctors still don't understand. Something so simple, they dismissed it completely. But here's what they can't dismiss. At 101 years old, Margaret takes no medication for blood pressure, no pills for cholesterol. Her mind is sharp as ever. So what's her secret, and why won't her doctors acknowledge it? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share could change how you think about aging forever. Margaret lives in a small town in Vermont, in the same house she moved into 60 years ago. When I first visited her, I expected to meet someone fragile, someone who moved slowly and spoke softly. Instead, the door swung open, and there she was, bright eyes, firm handshake, already asking me if I wanted tea or coffee. Most people come here expecting to find some kind of miracle, she said, settling into her favorite chair by the window. But I'm no miracle. I'm just stubborn. Margaret was born in 1923. She lived through the Great Depression, World War II, and the loss of her husband 30 years ago. She raised 3 children, worked as a school teacher for 40 years, and buried 2 of her closest friends in the last decade. Life hasn't been easy, but somehow she's thrived. And the thing is, it wasn't always this way. At 65, Margaret's health was failing. She had high blood pressure, constant fatigue, and early signs of diabetes. Her doctor put her on 4 different medications. I felt worse on those pills than I did before, she told me. I was tired all the time, my head felt foggy. I couldn't think straight. One morning, she woke up and made a decision that would horrify her doctor. She stopped taking the pills. Don't do that, you might be thinking. And honestly, I thought the same thing. But here's what happened next. Margaret didn't just stop the medication, she replaced it with something else. Something her grandmother had taught her when she was a little girl in rural Pennsylvania. She changed one simple habit. Something that costs almost nothing. Something you can start today. But when she told her doctor about it at her next appointment, he barely looked up from his clipboard. That's nice, Margaret, he said. But let's focus on getting you back on your medication. So what does Margaret do every single day? She walks. But not just any walk. Every morning, rain or shine, Margaret walks barefoot in her backyard for 20 minutes. She feels the grass under her feet, the morning dew, the texture of the earth. People think I'm crazy, she laughed. My neighbors see me out there in winter with my bare feet in the snow, and they shake their heads. But here's what most people do and know. This practice is called earthing or grounding. And while many doctors dismiss it, there's actually fascinating research behind it. Studies have shown that direct contact with the Earth's surface electrons may reduce inflammation, improve sleep, and lower stress hormones. One study published in the Journal of Environmental and Public Health found that grounding can thin the blood naturally, potentially reducing cardiovascular disease risk. Margaret didn't know the science. She just knew it made her feel alive. After 2 weeks of doing this, my blood pressure started dropping, she said. After a month, I had more energy than I'd had in years. After 6 months, my doctor couldn't believe my test results, but he still wouldn't acknowledge what she was doing. Coincidence, he said. You probably just lost some weight. Margaret hadn't lost a single pound. Now I know what you're thinking. This sounds too simple, too good to be true. But let's look at what's really happening. When you make direct contact with the earth, your body absorbs negative electrons from the ground. These electrons act as antioxidants, neutralizing free radicals that cause inflammation and aging. Think about it. For thousands of years, humans walked barefoot. We slept on the ground. We were constantly connected to the Earth's natural electrical charge. Today, we wear rubber-soled shoes. We live in buildings. We're completely disconnected. Dr. James Oshman, a researcher who has studied earthing for decades, put it this way: the human body is designed to be in contact with the Earth. When we lose that connection, we lose a fundamental part of our health. But here's the thing Margaret discovered that even the research doesn't fully capture. It wasn't just the physical act. It was what happened in those 20 minutes. She wasn't on her phone. She wasn't rushing. She wasn't worried about her to-do list. She was present, calm, connected. And maybe that matters even more than the electrons. Margaret has had 5 different doctors over the past 20 years. She's told every single one about her morning routine. Not one has taken it seriously. They're trained to prescribe medication, she explained. They're not trained to tell you to go stand in your backyard barefoot. There's no money in that, and she has a point. The healthcare system isn't built to support simple, free solutions. There are no pharmaceutical companies funding research on walking barefoot. No insurance companies billing for earth contact therapy. But the absence of mainstream support doesn't mean something doesn't work. Margaret's blood work speaks for itself. At 101, her inflammation markers are lower than most 60-year-olds. Her cortisol levels are balanced. Her heart is strong. I'm not saying this is a cure-all, she told me carefully. I'm not saying throw away your medication, but I'm saying maybe there's more to health than pills and prescriptions. So what can you learn from Margaret? First, question everything. Just because something is dismissed by the mainstream doesn't mean it's wrong. Second, the simplest solutions are often the most powerful. You don't need expensive supplements or complicated protocols. Sometimes the answer is literally beneath your feet. Third, consistency matters more than intensity. Margaret didn't do anything extreme. She just did something small, every single day, for 36 years. You don't have to walk barefoot in the snow like Margaret does. Start small. Walk barefoot in your backyard for 10 minutes each morning. Stand on grass while drinking your coffee. Sit on the ground at the park instead of on a bench. Feel the earth. Be present, breathe, and notice what changes. Before I left Margaret's house, she walked me to the door. As I stepped outside, she grabbed my arm gently. You want to know the real secret? She asked, her eyes twinkling. I nodded. The secret isn't the grass. It's not the electrons. The secret is showing up. Every day, no matter what. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, she paused. That's what keeps you alive, not the science. The commitment. Margaret is 101 years old. She's buried friends, lost loved ones, and faced every challenge life can throw at someone. But every morning she shows up. Barefoot. Present. Alive. Maybe that's the lesson. Maybe the thing doctors ignore isn't the earthing at all. Maybe it's the power of never giving up on yourself. If Margaret's story touched you, leave a comment below. And if you're going to try walking barefoot tomorrow morning, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Until next time, keep living. Keep showing up.